Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Harmony Grove Coaches Show. I'm Dylan Word. Once again, Coach Ernie Horskamp will join me this week. We'll talk about the homecoming victory against Dollarway and the big matchup this week against Rison. So after this break, Coach Ernie Horskamp joins me right here. This break is brought to you by Generations Bank. And welcome back, and now Coach Ernie Horskamp with me today. Coach, a 53-6 victory over the Dollarway Cardinals, a game which hit on all phases Friday night.
Yeah, well now kind of knew homecoming week was there, and what we tell them all the time is our job is to make sure everybody goes home happy.
That's right.
And take care of business in a big conference game. It gets us 2-0 in conference, and like you said, thought we played very well, hitting in all, clicking on all cylinders Friday night. Thought so.
That's right, and you had some great performances from some underclassmen, such as, of course, Caleb Johnson, Landon Garrett, and Demarion Billingsley as well.
Yeah, I think you could throw Devontae Hubbard in there too.
Hubbard,
he touched the ball a little more.
Too.
Yeah, that's just something that we've worked for several weeks. Devontae plays so much defensively and plays such a big role defensively, and he moves around a lot.
Right.
So but honestly, kind of been sparing him a little bit offensively. It's starting to cool off, so probably going to see a little more of that. But it's something that we've worked on for several weeks, and just got a chance to work him in there. And one thing that the underrated part of the game for, or underappreciated part of the game for a running back is blocking, and that's one reason that he's back there is because he is such a good blocker.
He's a very physical player.
Yeah, he is, and for being 155 pounds,
he doesn't look it though.
Yeah, and he is. He's a very physical player on both sides of the football.
And he played running back in junior high. And when I saw him in the backfield Friday night, and he made, I think it was his first or second carry. He just wasn't going to be stopped. Yeah, he finally was, of course.
Yeah, you're right. That first possession we had, we run a little power play to the left, and he, he hits the hole hard. He's full speed very quickly, and Devontae's he's a good blend of power and speed.
Made a spin move at midfield.
Yeah, broke some tackles and then got down the sideline, got a big gain there, and kind of got that drive rolling on that first one.
Really did. And talk about Caleb Johnson. He was pretty effective Friday night. Didn't have many passes, but for those passes, they were for big yardage.
Yeah, we'll take I think he went 4 for 5, but threw for 130 yards.
Yeah.
And a couple touchdowns, 2 touchdowns. I can't sit here and tell you how many. It's either 2 or 3 games without an interception now. So
it's good to see.
Yeah. So taking care of the football, really efficient in our passing game. And there's going to come another time where we're going to be put in a situation where we've got to throw the football more in a game. It's going to come at some point, and and now that we're getting more efficient, I think that'll work out for us now if it comes to that again, and we know it will. Absolutely.
And we talk about our conference being so run heavy. You want to exploit the pass game on offense and make the defense kind of be like, okay, what do I do here?
Right. We are probably one of the more balanced teams in our conference. I guess you could say that about Drew Central now after seeing them.
Sure.
But historically and right now, our conference is more run heavy. We've seen that. We saw that a lot against Dollarway. Of course, we'll mention Rison here soon, and of course we know Rison's going to run the football a lot. Lake Village, and being a team that can throw the football, and a team that maybe don't see that in practice much, or can't imitate it in practice as well, because that's something you've got to think about too. That if you don't throw the football yourself, it's hard to simulate that in practice.
Right. You'll see it every day.
Right, and we're able to do that. Luckily our defense sees a good passing attack every day. So if we ever come across that again, we'll have been able to see it well in practice.
Right. So Caleb had a few good passes Friday night. One that he's had for the last couple weeks is the Andrew Taylor.
Yeah.
He's had a couple deep passes for touchdowns. Andrew's getting in the wide open field. And talk about how he's coming along, because he started off with an injury.
Yeah, Andrew actually missed several weeks. You know, had the I guess little hip injury and had you know, just had a lot of time off, and didn't come back until I guess it was. Yeah, he came back. He may have played. It's one of the first few weeks of the season, and just finally has gotten going. You know, because you don't just come back from an injury when you're cleared. Hey, you're 100%. It's time to go. It takes a little bit of time to get going in there, because you know, he didn't run or do anything strenuous with his lower body for a long time.
And with a hip injury, you know, you don't know what to expect.
Exactly, and you know, him coming back, and you know, it's a tribute to him. You know, his work ethic and his dedication. He's come out and really come on for his team here lately. Absolutely.
So, on the defensive side of the ball, we were clicking on all cylinders Friday night. Had the one touchdown, but we'll take care of that.
Yeah, you know, defense played great all night. Gave up the one play. Mentioned to you off air. You know, I think they had about 160 yards of offense, and 75 of it came on one play.
And just made a move.
Yeah, and you know, I think everybody saw. You know, we mentioned Dollarway had athletes, and you saw them when they break. You know, if you know, Devontae was closing on him, but I mean, you see that guy's speed.
Yeah, he just accelerated.
And so, you know, it just shows when you play teams like that, you know, you know, we mentioned this early in the year, you know, when we play Harding Academy and we play Haynesville, those teams are good enough to where if you make a mistake or we get out of position, they can make a play, and Dollarway was talented enough to do that also. But we did a great job the rest of the night holding them defensively, and those guys did a great job all night.
Absolutely. Talk about the defensive line. One young man that I saw Friday night, he was basically everywhere, was Christian Barnes.
Yeah, Christian's a kind of a different type of defensive lineman. You know, he's a bigger kid for us. He's about 190, 195 pounds, somewhere in there. But you know, his speed and athleticism is what is probably his strength. You know, I mean, he runs the 400 meters in the spring in track, so that tells you what kind of athlete he is. You know, he made some people. I don't know if everybody saw it, but you know, the play he made on a bootleg at Haynesville, where it was nothing but green grass in front of the quarterback, and he runs them down. I mean, that just shows what kind of player he is, and he's really come along, having to play a lot more snaps this year than he did last year, and now that he's gained some experience, I think it's showing, and he's really producing on the field.
Absolutely, and we also had a young man that contributed in a way he hasn't done all year, and that's Braden Brown. He kind of stepped in for injured Tyler McCann and went 5 for 5.
Yeah, you know, Braden does a lot of things for us. You know, he's a backup quarterback right now. He's another guy that came off an injury over the summer, got a late start, just got cleared a few weeks ago. So with you know, a wrist surgery and all that. So seeing him come back and getting going is great. Serves as our backup quarterback. Plays a little bit of receiver for us. Got a few snaps in there Friday night, and then threw him in there as a kicker the other night on extra points, and went 5 for 5, and can't ask for much more than that.
Absolutely. He's like I told you off here, he's kind of old school. He's a toe kicker.
Yeah, he's the old school toe puncher. Takes a step and kicks through the uprights. We'll take it.
Absolutely. That's a good thing to have, though, that you have those other kids that can step in and still have the field goal.
Yeah, and I think that shows the quality of depth that we have, you know, at a lot of positions. It's not just a kicker. You know, we've got guys it's unfortunate that football's a sport that you're going to have guys miss time because of injury, and every time somebody goes down, obviously we don't want to miss anybody. But you know, we have the quality enough depth to where guys step in and there's not as much of a letdown as there is a lot of places.
Absolutely. So we're 2-0 in conference now, and we'll take a quick break and come back and talk about a huge matchup against the Rison Wildcats. This break is brought to you by N&W Construction. And welcome back, Coach. This Friday night, we talk about tradition in South Arkansas. We talk about big game atmospheres. I don't think it gets any bigger than Rison.
Going over to Rison's a fun atmosphere for high school football, and I'm sure Friday night will be no different.
Absolutely. So they're undefeated this season. They're 4-0. They sit top 3, top 5 in the state.
Right.
We do know that they're a run-heavy team.
Yes.
So What do you expect?
The same Rison football team you see year in and year out. Going to be, they're going to be physical up front. They're going to show quite a few different formations, just trying to take advantage of alignment, by you. And if they, find something that's working for them, you're going to have to find a way to stop it because they are satisfied with getting 3 or 4 yards of carry. And when you get in a game like this, every possession becomes that much more important because they are so run heavy. And nothing makes them happier than keeping the ball away from you. And going on a 15, 16, 17 play drive, that's what they want to do. And they get in 4th and short, they're going to go for it. So you got to win those big downs. First down's very important. Try to get them in a 2nd and long, and because the last thing you want is 2nd and 5 and 3rd and 1 against a team like that because of the way they play.
The thing that they want to do is they want to keep your defense on the field and their defense off the field.
Exactly. And you would think that with them running the football so much that their games are shorter and that they don't run as many plays, but watching them on film and as a coach you go through and you chart everything, they actually run more plays per game than anybody we play. It's a funny thing. They are going to run the football. They are more than capable of throwing the football. We saw that last year. They completed some big balls against us, some big passes last year, and kind of made big plays against us in the passing game. And then the quarterback they have this year is more of a dual threat. He can run the football, but more of a passing threat than they may have had in some years past. So the threat of the play action pass is definitely there. They're not necessarily going to sit there and drop back on you. They're going to run the ball, try to see your secondary coming up and getting out of position, and then try to play action and hit you over the top for a big one.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think that with us playing Hardin Academy, a team that's going to spread it out more, that kind of prepares us for the possible passing game of Rison.
That and and we mentioned earlier, we see it every day in practice. They're not going to throw the ball like a Harding Academy. It's just a completely different mindset, I guess. More along the lines of a Haynesville. Maybe not quite the amount of misdirection that we saw in Haynesville.
Where they were throwing once or twice.
You're not going to see a whole lot of passes, but we've still got to be ready for it. And, I mean, last several games we've had with Rison have been just exciting football games, and we're going to have to go out and be prepared to play. You mentioned that they're undefeated on the season. They're 4-0. I know their open date in conference was this past week, and then they lost. They lost a game against Parker's Chapel because Parker's Chapel went to 8-man football, so that's where the extra off game came from. So they've only played 4 ball games. I
guess their benefit.
They didn't play last week. They played Dollarway the week before and were off the week before that. So they've played once in the last 3 weeks. So one thing, a lot of coaches, I know I'm like this, everybody wants to stay in a rhythm, but sometimes those off dates can at least help you get healthy. And that's something that I would expect from them.
Absolutely. So you spoke about Haynesville and the atmosphere down in Haynesville, the excitement was huge. We will expect that Friday night. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, there's no doubt. I would expect a packed house. They're going to show up. I know our fans are going to show up, and had a great crowd Friday night at homecoming. I'll expect the same thing as we travel down to Rison. I guess the last time we went to Rison was in the playoffs a couple years ago in 2019, and electric atmosphere that night, and looking forward to seeing another one this Friday.
Absolutely. So we'll make the trip over to Cleveland County come Friday night, 7 p.m. kickoff, right?
7 p.m. kickoff, yes, sir.
All right. So we'll come back after this break and talk about some junior high action. This break is brought to you by B&B Gravel and Trucking. And welcome back to Coach. Talk about some junior high action. Picked up a big victory against Dollarway Thursday night, 38-0.
Yeah, those guys keep rolling. They're sitting there 3-0 in conference, and got a big ball game against Rison at home this week. So those guys again continue to develop, 38-0 at halftime last Thursday over at Dollarway. Able to play everybody, gain some game experience, and reward those guys for their hard work at practice, and just proud of those guys and the way they keep working every day. We've mentioned it throughout the year. Started off 0-1 and got a big win over at Gurdon. I think the turning point though was beating that really, really good Hampton team out here, and they started gaining some confidence then. Mentioned all year, a lot of new guys on the field, but now they've got a half season behind them. Those guys, are playing like their experience now.
They just got to finish strong.
Got to finish strong. Going to play a few really tough teams here in the next few weeks. We have Rison, always a good football team. England. We're going to travel to England next week, and a lot of people don't realize. I kept up with them last year after we opened the season with England the last 2 years before this one, and England won a conference title in junior high last year. Didn't lose another game the rest of the season. Went 7-1, and now it shows the quality of team they have, and I wouldn't expect anything different when we go over to England next week. But our focus right now is on Rison, and our guys will be ready to play.
Absolutely. So there's two young men that I've noticed as the season started and as we progressed that have just come a long ways, I should say. Keegan Jones and Dannon Vint. They really turned it up this season. Yeah,
Keegan is obviously a new student here. Came in, moved in from Hampton, and got some good. I talked to coaches over in Hampton, and got great reports on him. Hard worker, good player, and he just came in and just never had actually been a lineman before, and they had looked at him in their backfield going into this year, and we were in need of some skill guys just because of numbers, and saw him running around. He came at the first of the summer, and when we were running outside doing sprints or conditioning or anything like that, we saw how well he moved and he ran. So we gave him a shot in the backfield, and he's made the most of it.
Really has.
And then playing linebacker also, really has a nose for the football. Has worked on his craft too, because he was making a few mistakes, just technical things. It's nothing big, just some things on his reads, and he is really bought in and taken coaching and really just bought in, and he's gotten that stuff corrected, and you see him, he is right on top of the football all the time. And then you mentioned Dannon Vint, another guy, had a ninth grader, so we know that last year as an eighth grader was more of a role player. He played, not hard for we had a very talented junior high team last year, and he got some quality reps in there as an eighth grader, and seeing him come along this year, he ran the football last year in the second half if our backups were in, and did a good job, so gave him the opportunity there also, and he's definitely made the most of it too. So
he's fun to watch on defense.
Same thing as Keegan. He's a very smart football player, just like Keegan. They're very aware of what the opponent is trying to do. They want to know. They want to know, hey, coach, how are we reading this week? That's the kind of questions you get from them, and to have those type of guys, and then they blend that knowledge and that eagerness to learn with some athletic ability, which they both have, and very strong guys for their age. Work hard in the weight room, and people have to realize this stuff don't just happen during football season, because none of this matters if you're getting pushed around. It just doesn't. None of it matters if somebody's pushing somebody around, and you've got to work hard in the weight room, and those guys have, just like all of our guys do.
The behind the scenes stuff that makes
exactly.
a difference.
No crowd in there for you. Just you and the weights.
Absolutely. So 7 p.m. Thursday night.
7 p.m. Thursday night. Going to have a 7th grade game at 5:30 against Rison, and then like I said, 7 o'clock kickoff for the junior high.
Hopefully we can continue that streak in conference. So we'll take another short break, come back, and we'll recap today's Coaches Show. This break is brought to you by the VFW Post 4554. And welcome back to Coach. 7 p.m. Friday night, Cleveland County, Rison,
Yep.
and Harmony Grove.
Yeah, I expect another exciting matchup. We got to go. We're going to go out and we're going to have a great week of practice and prepare to play a big game Friday night. We're going to have to go out and make no mistake. They're a really good football team.
Yes.
Their record says so. I mean, they're a 4-0 football team. You see them play on film, and you see that they're a really good football team. And this is one of those games. We're both 2-0 in conference. I'm sorry, we're 2-0 in conference. They've only played one conference game, but this definitely has a bearing on playoff seeding. And
right.
So this game's big towards how many home games you play in the playoffs and all that stuff.
And every year when I get the schedule and I see that Rison's in our conference, I know that if we want to win the conference championship, we're going to have to go through Rison.
Exactly, and that's no matter what. You see Rison in your conference, the tradition they've had, and a lot of people say that, and they've earned that. And that's it. You have respect for places like that. They've done it year in and year out, and this year we got a shot to go over there and at their place, and it's not an easy place to play.
It's a hostile environment.
It is. That those end zones can be pretty tough.
Those sidelines can be pretty tough.
Yeah, they can be pretty tough. So excited to get to play in another atmosphere like that. I think going over to Haynesville early in the season prepared us to play in an atmosphere like this, and really looking forward to it and getting a chance to battle a really good football team.
Absolutely, we can't wait for it. So Friday night, 7 p.m., the Wildcats and the Hornets. Hope to see you there. He's Coach Ernie Horsecamp. I'm Dylan Word, and we'll see you Friday night.